Hello and welcome to my therapy session. There are no perfect victims. Have you ever heard this statement? Most probably. Is it true? From a strictly objective standpoint, sure. But the imperfections are oftenly something as minuscule as getting a minor detail wrong because the victim's brain wants to repress bad memories or things of that nature. But what happens when the victim not only takes their abuser's side, but also blames their supporters for their pain and suffering instead, making themselves extremely unlikable to anybody who wanted to stand up for them. They then become the #1 target and people can't bother to defend these people anymore. Because why would you when that same person basically spits on your face when you try to say something constructive or point out some red flags? Not to mention it gets much tougher to be certain that any sort of abuse does happen, because who are we to judge that? That's why today we are getting out of our comfort zone a little bit, because I'll be presenting you the sick version of game theory in real life. Like I brought MatPat back to YouTube just for him to talk about Yoshi's identity crisis again, as I'll be pointing out many red flags suggesting that Ian is tragically a victim of relationship abuse. Which, if true, then it's sad. I get that it's easy to mock the guy, but I wanted to show a bit more empathetic side to it all. Because, well, frankly, whenever I see his clips, I feel bad for him, even if he is being a complete dick.
Interactions that I had with fans. There were quite a few human beings that I interacted with that just sucked because I attracted a lot of people who sucked.
To me, it's very clear that iDubbz's is absolutely miserable. Usually, it takes at least two for somebody to be labeled as abused. So here enters
Anissa.
Hold up. Who the hell is iDubbz's?
I mean, I technically know who he is, but why would I give a fuck?
Oh, right. That's fair. My bad. iDubbz's is a YouTuber. Okay, so Anissa.
Oh, you suck!
Alright, fine. 1 minute at most though. Phew, demanding crowd today. iDubbz's, real name Ian, is an old-time YouTube creator who focused mostly on comedic commentary-styled videos. He was known for being this humorous, mostly unhinged guy, and even if you've never seen his works, you've probably seen memes that depicted him.
I'm gay!
He had skits on some jokes he said publicly right in the face of people that he was previously commenting on in his videos. His content cop was kind of a golden standard of entertaining, comedic video critique works. But then, after a couple of years, he had a seemingly very sudden change of heart and not only changed his content to be focused much less on humor, but also openly admitted to thinking less of people that did enjoy his past productions.
Do you think it was cool when I was running around in an oversized cop outfit? That was cool to you.
He wanted to completely disassociate himself from anything he's done before, basically.
I guess if you want to, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
Hey, I'm a cop, and if you don't subscribe to this channel right now, I'm gonna say you are a degenerate basement dweller because of watching something I made, which in turn would probably make me somebody even worse than that. Wait, fuck, let me try again. Okay, is that fair? That's a good segue to talk about Anissa then, who, if you didn't know before, is Ian's wife. Anissa was also a social media content creator for a long time now. She had live streams and videos about anime and video games. Nothing out of the ordinary, really. Around 2016, Anissa and Ian started dating. At that point, iDubbz's was still maintaining this edgy persona, but what's more interesting is that there are some testimonies from girls that were his fans saying that he was a massive fucking douchebag, that they were friends with benefits, that he didn't pay for dates, and ghosted one of the girls after meeting Anissa. Shit like that, just kind of a slimy behavior. Nothing illegal, but just not cool and showing what kind of person he was back then. Despite that, Anissa was Ian's first real girlfriend, which he later on in a weird way suggested that he settled for her because he was afraid she's the only person he'll ever find, which is definitely something you'd want to hear from your partner. Let's not jump the gun here though, because first real controversy starring these two individuals started in 2020, not this year again, where Ian's content clearly started to shift from comedic, entertainment-driven videos to documentaries and, ramblings about nothing. No, seriously, I'm not being mean. Sometimes he talked about things like...
It looks like that's a Gemini, that one. Starlight and Dreamworld, it says?
Starlight and Dreamworld are the... So they went straight
As
from...
vague as you can fucking get.
The most
New
vague.
flavor is something you may be familiar with. Crying.
Like, what?
That's what it says. That's so strange. This new flavor is something you may be familiar with. Crying.
Coke has too much money, and they're waving it in our face.
I definitely I think if someone came over, I wouldn't want SpongeBob to be on the TV.
Oh,
Like, that's what I was watching.
I wonder if that's the experience of, like, men versus women. I thought I was a witch, I think, in grade... Well, I thought I was a werewolf in grade 3, and
There's
then I thought I was
something
a
about
witch.
that I thought I was
Yeah.
that I just have a problem with.
The content shift in itself wasn't the only problem though. We all evolve, want to change some things from time to time. It's normal and, dare I say, overall a very good human trait. What's not good, however, is showing a middle finger to everyone who enjoyed what you created before and saying condescending shit like, "Oh, is that what you liked? Really? Pathetic." It's so ridiculously dumb. I have no excuses for this man. If that wasn't enough though, his girlfriend started an OnlyFans and it destroyed this guy's image even more. Now, I'll be real with you. Personally, if it's consensual from both sides, then I don't give a fuck. Pun not intended. And Anissa claimed that it was iDubbz's who wanted her to continue with her OnlyFans at one point, so apparently he was a huge supporter of that idea. But considering what I've seen from both of them up to the current point, I am not certain even that was handled in a healthy way. And if something like this isn't done very carefully and with consideration of both parties, then yikes. Why would I think it wasn't handled perfectly when both of them apparently actively supported each other in this endeavor? Well, maybe because that didn't fucking happen. We've heard of iDubbz's supporting Anissa, that's a fact. But as far as the other way around, we've heard a lot, and I mean a lot, of mockery around those times from her when she knew damn well his online persona was getting dunked on because of this decision. Again, I personally wouldn't mind any of that if it wasn't clear that only one side is willing to stick with the other through thick and thin. If they'd both show affection and care throughout the process, then that would be absolutely okay, and I wouldn't bat an eye at this. Couples, people in relationships, can do whatever the hell they want, as long as they are both down with whatever they want to do, and as long as they'll care about the well-being of their partner throughout. But that's just not the case here at all. And that's why I see this chapter as something insanely toxic. Years were passing by, and with iDubbz's content becoming pretty much a jointed operation with his now by 2021 wife, some very disturbing things were just happening like it's nothing. For example, when iDubbz's was having live streams, he would oftenly play games and not really speak much at all, while his wife would keep immediately banning people in the chat, not letting Ian even read the messages, and having all kinds of discussions with them while he'd just sit there quietly. It's really bizarre. I don't know how to describe it other than a bit
Creepy.
on their podcast, which they create with their friend. Their dynamic seems to be very clear from the get-go. Anissa talks about herself a lot. Anissa can't admit to being wrong at all. Anissa's trauma dumping in a way that basically feels like saying, "No, I had it the worst, while Ian is mostly the quiet yes man that from time to time says something like, "Why did you say that about me?" when she roasts him about some sensitive information from his personal life. At least that's how it was, before he didn't have enough of this and started fighting back a bit. And now they are just both throwing passive-aggressive jabs at each other.
But marry a man if you want someone who has good grip strength.
Yes, that podcast is a fucking torture chamber to listen to if you didn't guess it from that description. Banter is cool. We all do it in any kinds of relationships. Actively trying to ridicule and make an absolute idiot and a loser out of a person you apparently care about the most in front of the entire audience and your friend isn't exactly a textbook definition of a banter though. But hey, what do I know? iDubbz's stated that he's usually the quiet, antisocial type, and Anissa, you wouldn't have guessed, claimed the same thing.
Can't make a phone call.
She can't make a phone call.
I would rather die than
No.
phone someone.
She would rather die than make a phone call because of her social anxiety. And this is the person who told everybody that they can't work real jobs and they're non-functional.
So we have two conflicting sides. Anissa saying iDubbz's is usually making the phone calls and things of that nature, which sure, I'm willing to believe. And Ian saying Anissa is the one controlling, leading everything and communicative, which I'm willing to believe. Maybe it's not as contradictory after all. Anyway, just looking at those live streams, the way they communicate online, it's hard to take Anissa's words at face value, but also real life issues and phone calls can be much different. Hence I said it's not something I would think is impossible. It doesn't really matter all that much though, as either way all of the puzzles we collected seem to show a big form of dependency being formed. Ian feels like he wouldn't find anyone else if he wasn't with Anissa. And Anissa makes a lot of things about herself while actively putting iDubbz's and his problems down. Which, and I hate saying things like this because I don't like doing internet diagnosis, I think it's usually stupid, but those are clear traits and signs seen in narcissistic people. In which case, making this man so dependent would be the perfect scenario for her, as she constantly puts herself above him and fits him her own worldview to the point the guy sometimes can't even speak his mind before she says her opinion first. Love can be a very scary thing. Just as it can lift you up, it can also put you so deep underground you're gonna be asking Hades how's the infrastructure of the underground's going, and does the society there pay millions for OnlyFans as well? Because that's when you are the most vulnerable, when you fully open up to somebody you care about the most. You want to support them, give them voice, but it's not guaranteed that they will do the same for you, as seen in this exact scenario. That's why you have to also pay attention to how they treat you. If you can have your own opinions and share them in a healthy way, because otherwise, when enough time passes, you're gonna
End up
as a shell of yourself without having real perspectives of going back, because you've been in this place for so long already. You've become dependent and you don't want to lose it. Is iDubbz's flawless? No. Is iDubbz's a good person? Honestly, from what information we have, I don't know. I'd lean towards no, but that's just speculation. Is he still, despite all of that, a victim? I'll leave that conclusion for you because I don't want to be insulted by Anissa for creating a commentary video, a genre she despises so much. If that's somehow not enough of a relationship train wreck for your cold as ice heart to see, or if you want to make sure that it could always be worse than whatever you're dealing with, then check this all-time classic about everybody's favorite Logan Paul and his fiancée's past. And if you miss the good old times, then go ahead and rage at this video where I throw a bucket of cold water by telling you how Leafy's content format and his clones in general kinda sucked. Like I brought back old iDubbz's to talk about him once again, just maybe a little less edgy. Thank you for watching and I'll be here for the next session.